It was just past 4 a.m. on Sunday, November 13th, 2022, when silence returned to the off-campus home at 1122 King Road in Moscow, Idaho. The white three-story house, shared by a group of close friends, sat nestled among rows of student housing. By all appearances, it was a typical college rental. Party lights, parked cars, takeout containers near the door. But what happened inside that house that night would haunt the small town forever. Earlier that evening, Kaylee Goncalves and her best friend Madison Maddie Mogan had gone out to a downtown bar called Corner Club. It was a typical Saturday night. The girls, both 21, laughed, danced, and were seen on security footage enjoying themselves. Just before 1:45 a.m., they stopped at a late-night food truck for mac and cheese, another routine stop on a night out. The footage, which would later become chilling in retrospect, showed them smiling and chatting with strangers, completely unaware of what awaited them. Meanwhile, Xana Kernodle, 20, and her boyfriend Ethan Chapin, also 20, had attended a fraternity party at Sigma Chi just a few minutes away. The couple returned to Xana's home shortly before 2 a.m. All four victims were believed to have been asleep or in their rooms by 4 a.m. The house also had two surviving roommates, both asleep on the first floor, DM and BF, their names initially protected by court order. They heard strange sounds at night, but never imagined the true horror unfolding above them. Sometime between 4 o'clock and 4:25 a.m., investigators believe Bryan Kohberger, a 28-year-old PhD student in criminology at nearby Washington State University, entered the home through a sliding glass door on the second floor. He had allegedly stalked the house multiple times in the weeks leading up to the murders, his phone pinging nearby cell towers, and his white Hyundai Elantra seen circling the area on surveillance cameras. What happened next was brutal, silent, and over in minutes. Authorities say Kohberger, dressed in black and wearing gloves and a mask, carried a large fixed-blade knife, believed to be a K-bar military-style weapon. He moved quickly, deliberately, and left almost no trace, except for one chilling piece of evidence, a leather knife she found next to Maddie Mogan's body, bearing Kohberger's DNA on the snap. Maddie and Kaylee were found together in Kaylee's bed on the third floor. The coroner said their injuries were extensive. It was believed that Kaylee may have fought back. Her mother later revealed she had defensive wounds, possibly a sign that she woke up mid-attack. On the second floor, Xana Kernodle was found in the kitchen area, and Ethan Chapin was found in her room. Xana had also fought back. Court documents suggest she may have been awake and checking her phone around 4:12 a.m. Her injuries were consistent with a struggle. She had wounds to her hands and fingers. It's unclear if she saw her killer, but it's likely she died knowing something was terribly wrong. One of the most haunting details came from surviving roommate DM, who told police she woke up to what sounded like crying from upstairs and heard someone say, "It's okay, I'm going to help you." She opened her door 3 times that night to check. On the final time, she reported seeing a masked man dressed in black walking past her toward the back exit. Frozen in fear, she locked her door and didn't come out until the next morning. The 911 call wouldn't come until 11:58 a.m., nearly 8 hours after killings. Initial reports from police were vague. They said there was no suspect, no weapon, and no danger to the public. That statement sparked confusion and anger. How could there be 4 dead students and no threat? As pressure mounted, investigators began piecing the case together with extraordinary detail. Surveillance footage captured a white Hyundai Elantra speeding away from the area at 4:20 a.m. That vehicle would become the centerpiece of the investigation. On December 7th, police publicly asked for help locating a white 2011 to 2013 Hyundai Elantra. They received over 20,000 tips. Weeks later, on December 30th, 2022, Bryan Kohberger was arrested at his parent home in Albrightsville, Pennsylvania, over 2,000 miles away. He had driven across the country with his father in the very same Hyundai Elantra police were seeking. During the arrest, authorities seized trash in the family's home and recovered a Q-tip with DNA that matched the sheath left at the crime scene. Kohberger was extradited to Idaho in January 2023 and charged with 4 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of felony burglary. In court, he remained expressionless as the charges were read. He did not enter a plea initially. opting to stand silent, which triggered an automatic not guilty plea. The prosecution revealed even more chilling details as court proceedings unfolded. Cell phone data showed Kohberger's device had pinged near the victim's house at least 12 times in the weeks before the murders. It even went silent during the time of the killings, turned off intentionally, investigators believe, to avoid tracking. Additional forensic evidence began to pile up. DNA on the knife sheath was a critical piece. Security camera footage from nearby homes showed the Hyundai driving erratically around the neighborhood before and after the murders. Tire marks in the snow matched Kohberger's car. His behavior after the killings also raised suspicions. He cleaned his car thoroughly, including the floor mats and trunk lining, and disposed of trash in separate bags. As for motive, authorities still don't know. Kohberger didn't know the victims personally, according to phone records and witness statements. But prosecutors suggested he had a psychological fascination with control and violence. Some speculated that as a criminology student, Kohberger may have seen the murders as an experiment, something dark and twisted from the mind of someone studying how crime is solved. He had posted surveys on Reddit asking former criminals about their mindset and planning processes. He also participated in classroom discussions about serial killers with unnerving enthusiasm, according to classmates. One student recalled, he always had a kind of superiority complex, like he was the smartest person in the room. In July 2023, the prosecution filed notice that they intended to seek the death penalty. Kohberger's defense attorneys pushed back, filing dozens of motions and challenging the DNA evidence. They suggested his mental state and diagnosis of visual snow syndrome may play a role in his defense. Then came a stunning development. On July 2nd, 2025, Kohberger pleaded guilty to all charges in a deal to avoid the death penalty. The plea agreement guaranteed for consecutive life sentences without parole, plus additional time for burglary. In court, he addressed the victims' families, saying only, "I am sorry for what I've done." Reactions were mixed. Some families, like those of Ethan and Xana, expressed relief that they will be spared years of trial testimony. Others, especially the family of Kaylee Goncalves, voiced deep disappointment. "We wanted justice," her father said outside the courthouse. And justice meant the death penalty. Kohberger is now awaiting formal sentencing, scheduled for July 23rd, 2025. Families will deliver victim impact statements that day. There will be no cameras, no media inside, just raw grief, memory, and the final closing of a tragic chapter. The house on King Road has since been demolished by the University of Idaho. All that remains now is a memorial garden and a scar in the heart of a quiet college town. But for the families, the scars are permanent. In the end, the questions still linger. Why them? Why that night? Why at all? Perhaps we will never fully understand the mind that planned this horror. But what we do know is that 4 young lives were stolen in their sleep, and their names, Kaylee, Maddie, Ethan, and Xana, will never be forgotten.